Hey, yo, Superman in Action Comics, Annual 6, Elseworlds by John Byrne, with this amazing cover by Mike Mignola. Superman ripping apart the American flag. Of course, there's only 13 stars on it, so this is definitely a period piece. You can tell by Superman's gangster George Washington hairdo. So this is what we're looking at today, fellas and fellettes. So let's subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hit that like button and let's get right into it. Okay, so this is from John Byrne's time on Superman, an amazing comic book. It is so cool. You guys are so blessed to be able to look inside this puppy today. You're going to be scooping it up on eBay immediately after. Kayfabe effect, my butt. It's the MichaelFitzTroytv effect that is really, you know, the cosmic force happening in the universe. Okay, so John Byrne was on Superman. I love John Byrne's runs on a lot of comic books because he more often than not participated in the annuals. They were doing this Elseworlds annual event. This is like when they started doing sort of like company-wide events and tying all the annuals in together. Elseworlds is like DC's What If, you know, like what if Superman looked like George Washington or whatever. Anything is possible. They call it Black Label now. You know, no continuity kind of thing. But it's fun. I love it. Like, especially, I feel like DC characters are so iconic and really lend themselves to so many different genres. So it's always fun to see this. And this freaking iconic Mike Mignola cover. I mean, Hellboy, Mike Mignola, his superhero stuff. It's funny because he got a lot of superhero stuff in the beginning and he never wanted to draw superheroes. And obviously he blew up, and you can tell that horror and just quirky kookiness is really his genre. So it's very fun to see his superhero stuff because it's obviously amazing, legendary. Okay, so this is... we haven't gotten to the credits page yet, but it is written and drawn by John Byrne, and this is a beautiful splash page. I love it because John Byrne had just, like, redone the origin of Superman, so this is an Elseworld, so it's got to be different, and it looks different all the way. I feel like he's leaning into his very tech-heavy, like, sci-fi, which kind of makes me love it, because I just did a review of Action Comics #1, and I realized, especially... you know, the fact that it was, like, the first, you know, American superhero comic book that, in a lot of ways that, you know, it hadn't found its genre yet completely. So I felt, and Superman, at the base core of it, is very science fiction oriented, wouldn't you guys say? I mean, he's an alien from another planet. There's a lot of technology. And John Byrne is, like, so good at this. And I like it because I appreciate it so much because it looks so different than his redesign. And this is not Kal-El. This is, like, his great-grandfather or great-great-great 10 generations whenever this era is taking place. And it is so freaking good. Like, this story, I feel like at the time might have, like, bored me when I was young because I'm like, I don't really want to see, like, you know, like, hundreds of years ago and, you know, this kind of story would have seemed like kind of boring to me. And now I freaking like rereading it recently. The story is so good. And it's so, you know, I think John Byrne just, you know, obviously my channel is very art focused and I like try to dissect and analyze the art a lot. But I think that, you know, more often than not, John Byrne has written himself, and he's written some really damn good stories over the years. Like, he's very clever and very, like, in tune with the genre that he's writing, I feel. You know, depending on the era or whatnot, sometimes, like, I feel like his dialogue could be a little corny sometimes, but I just have he's always been one of my favorite writers, and I just love it. And just, like, the little, touches he puts in. The funny thing that I do notice about John Byrne is, like, his people are very savage. Like, he has a lot of very, like, take no prisoners, you know, just, like, asshole people in his stories, protagonists, whatever. Oh, this was pretty epic, too. I love this because, so basically, Superman's great-grandfather is coming to work for, like, pre-American England, you know, politics, and you know, they're trying to start America in Philadelphia, and here's like Benjamin Franklin. And I freaking, like, John Byrne has said that he is not like the greatest at drawing likenesses and stuff, but I don't know, maybe looking at money over the years and seeing all these people on the money, you know, these caricatures, Lord help me, are pretty on the money to me. I love seeing John Byrne draw Ben Franklin. I mean, how great is this? This is another thing that I love about this too, is that John Byrne, like, is very much in love with, like, the Richard Donner, Christopher Reeve Superman, and I felt like he brought a lot of that to his run. And I was also, like, that's my Superman, the Christopher Reeve. So, and the comic book version is John Byrne, so it's all, like, perfection for me. And to see him, like, do this, well, first of all, to see him in this, like, old English wig is, like, beyond hysterical, and I love it. And then to see him use that great power of, like, drilling through the floor is so ridiculous, but it gets better. And the thing that I loved about this, too, is, like, I feel like a lot of the conceit of John Byrne revamping Superman was to, like, sort of edge out the ridiculous things, the things that, like, the powers that made no sense, and the silliness, and all the silly stories, and, you know, get rid of them in continuity, just sort of to not have to answer for them or justify them with Crisis on Infinite Earths. I don't know why. I think they're relevant. I think they're great. I think they should have just left well enough alone. But, you know, here's where it gets good. And I don't know, I feel like John Byrne may have tried to explain this once in his interview, or maybe somebody better at science would know. But, you know, obviously you cannot tunnel under a house and pick it up and move it like this. Although I've seen houses, you know, moved on flatbed trucks and stuff. But, you know, the sheer, like, him picking it up here, there's not enough support. Like, it would just crush under its own weight, would it not? And then, so as I'm sitting there trying to figure out the logistics and the science of that, because, you know, I'm not super smart in that area, but it still has a great interest to me. Yay, nay. Because I always love those kind of moments when, like, I felt like John Byrne was good for that, like, introducing some, like, fuckery of science or whatever, and just be like, oh yeah, that's cool, but just going along for the ride. But I immediately think, like, this would not work. And then he takes this house from Philadelphia containing, you know, Benjamin Franklin and all these people wanting to sign the Declaration of Independence, Adams, Hancock, Jefferson. It is wrong of me to take Schadenfreude joy in this, but there's something crazy hilarious about then just seeing them all hanging there. They're like, yeah, no, America's not going to happen. And this is actually a very, speaking of the science fiction angle again, like, this is a cautionary tale from hell. Love seeing this. This reminds me of his run on Fantastic Four, where they went back in time to deal with Hitler. Yeah, nothing wrong with that, right? And they had, like, a fantastic car or something, and they had disguised it as a UPS truck because Reed Richards felt like that wouldn't look out of place in that era, which I thought was freaking genius. And so to the flip side of that is seeing the Superman truck in, you know, American England. It looks super out of place, right? This is the Daily Planet, which I love. I love this. This is so cool. I mean, John Byrne was born in England, so even though he lived there for like a hot minute, but so he is English by birth. And I love when he draws England. I think it looks cool. And here comes Lois Lane. I love John Byrne's Lois Lane. I do. She's very like Margot Kidder, my Lois Lane. The art is looking really good here. I feel like this is, you know, towards the end of his tenure on Superman. Nice underlighting on Perry White's big boxy dad bod ass there. And I feel like we're seeing an evolution in the inking. You know, this is different from when he first started. Although he wasn't inking himself at first, but inking covers, right? And this is looking more like what we would see, you know, going into like Next Men, I feel, in the Dark Horse years. But it still looks good. You know, I feel like there are certain eras in John Byrne's, you know, artistry that I prefer over others. And this is a good one. I like them all. Do not get me wrong. And everyone knows I love a good silhouette, and I love, you know, this whole page told, you know, this is the hallmark of a good designer is, you know, you can tell who the character is by silhouette. And I think the hallmark of a great cartoonist and good comic book storyteller is you can actually tell a story in silhouettes and know what's going on. And John Byrne has all that in his wheelhouse, of course. This was just a really great story. I thought it was super ingenious and inventive and just such a great way to sort of, I don't know, there's a lot of layers of onion to peel back here. You know, there's kryptonite and just, I don't know, but it speaks of the morality of Superman and just like the core, like it's definitely, that's what I like about these Elseworld tales done correctly, as it is done so well this time around by John Byrne, is that it sort of takes like real questions about the characters, puts them in real situations and, you know, see how their message, their morals, or themselves would react if given a choice or an option in sort of a skewed set of circumstances. Do you know what I mean? So I loved Elseworlds. I think they're great. And this is like Grandpa's Superman. And this is Kal-El. So 10 generations later, his grandfather's a tyrant. His actual motivation for, spoilers, his motivation for fleeing Krypton, and he like calculated and like came to Earth knowing that he would be a god here and his powers, if his calculations were correct, that he could have some sort of dominance here. And that is so sinister and so evil, and really speaks to what I secretly believe about Krypton, is that they're kind of just a bunch of assholes who maybe deserve to perish. Anyway, save for Kal-El. But then it also asked the question, was like, you know, Earth's savior or not, you know what I mean? Was the world a better place for Superman coming here? And in this case, the answer is no. And I kind of love that. You know what I mean? It just goes to show that there are many sides to every coin, even though there's only 2 sides to a coin, but there's many sides to a Rubik's Cube. Okay, there's only 6 sides to that, but you know what I'm saying? Like, a picture's worth 1,000 words. How about that? But yes, all the Byrne goodness is here. I just love this so much. And then, I mean, it has kind of a tragic ending, but a great message at the same time. And yeah, I'm strongly questioning a world without, you know, have they done that, like a world without a Superman kind of storyline where, I don't know, where it just was up better without him? Yeah, here it is. All right. And then there's a backup story that I don't think I read by Louise Simonson. And oh no, did I? But the art is amazing. Plot and art, Dennis Jonke. Script, Louise Simonson. Dennis Jonke is mostly known as like an inker. I feel like he worked with like Mike Zeck a lot, and maybe John Bogdanoff. But fun Mr. Mixoplick story, or Mixoplick, however you want to pronounce it. I'm going based on John Byrne's written pronunciation, Mixoplick. It's like you kind of pronounce every single letter. Interesting art. You definitely see the Dennis Jonke finish here. No pun intended, as a finisher. Love seeing all the little details. It's very Doug Monkey in a lot of ways, right? Tom Sutton. I don't know. Very esoteric. Very fun. I like that these stories had like little backups, but a very solid, like, 40 pages by John Byrne. Oh, that's a cool cover. Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, the master, right? Beautiful art there. Welcome to the 30th century. Anyway, how cool was that? Superman Action Comics Annual 6 by John Byrne with this gorgeous Mike Mignola cover, an Elseworlds event. Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hit that like button, and I'll bring you more soon.